won the draw. Lindholm does his job and wins the draw behind him. And it's Peterka that comes up with the puck.
And it's a hat trick for him as well. 3 goals for Peterka, 3 goals for Tage Thompson.
I'm telling you, the words you're going to hear are not good enough. And that's just not good enough.
Back here on 98.5, the Sports Hub. I don't even know what to say after that performance tonight by the Boston Bruins. What do you do? What do you say? This was a thrashing. The Buffalo Sabres? You did this to the Buffalo Sabres? At this point, what do you do when you're the owner of the Bruins, the GM of the Bruins? What do you even do? Like, how do you follow up from this? I know you get Winnipeg on Thursday night. Is that it? You just return home, you get Winnipeg, who's awesome, by the way. How does it get better? What do you do here? I'm running out of answers, people. I'm running out of answers. You can't fire the coach. You've already done that. It's not really his problem anyways. He's just dealing with it now. Is it Swayman? The defense is horrific. You're without McAvoy. You're without Lindholm. It's horrific. It's horrible. Terrible. Crappy. What other adjective we can throw out there? It's bad. I would just like to bring up that Nikita Zadorov is just one of the worst acquisitions that I can remember. He's just on the ice for goals. Goals, goals, goals. Bruins give it up. Goals all night. Goals, goals, goals. It's bad, everybody. He stinks. The combo of him and Peak tonight. Ugh. It's bad. Very bad. And I get it. Again, look what they're dealing with on the defensive end. What do they do at this point? Like, do you want me to give you a real analysis? They're desperate. It's showing. It's terrible. They show you, they show you at times that they have structure and they have some talent. They win against Ottawa, play well against Colorado, and then they go on the road and they suck. What else can you say here? On the road this year, they're 9-14-3. And, how do you go on the road and perform like this constantly? Their goal differential on the road this year is -25. They were shorthanded. Did you hear that? They were shorthanded. Brandon Carlo got the sniffies tonight. Couldn't play. You had one defenseman that could play on the right with a right shot. They were careless. They turned the puck over. They're horrible in the offensive and defensive zones. They can't stop any rushes. They got outshot 10-5 early on in this one. Mason Lowry with a goal. Nice to see. That lead lasted less than 1 minute tonight. 55 seconds. Their top line stinks. Whatever, if you want to call it a top line at this point. They got caught on another line change. How many times are the Bruins going to get caught on a line change? And Matt Poitras, bro, a bit tough night for him. Oh. Then Swayman got beat on a slapper at one point. He got beat all night long. It just, what do you do right now? Their struggles on the road are awful. They're tapping out. You want to talk about tapping out? They're on the road. They go up 1-0, and then they tap. They put themselves in a hole constantly. They show no urgency whatsoever. I don't know what to do here anymore. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to talk about this team anymore. They knew they weren't coming back tonight. There was nobody at the game. Well, how many hats? How many hats for the hat tricks tonight? Did you count them, Skaz? Would you have thrown your hat out there tonight?
I think that was the shortest, stoppage in play for a hat trick, maybe in NHL history.
Would you have thrown your hat?
No.
No.
The first Bruins double hat trick allowed since 2003. I believe our very own Ty Anderson had that. So, yeah. And I believe Zadorov and Peak pairing on the ice for 3 of Buffalo's first 4 goals.
Oh! I didn't know that. I didn't know it was that. Listen, it sucked. I didn't know it was that bad. 3 out of 4?
Yeah, well, that could have been worse. That was when it was 4. Who knows when it got to the touchdown there, 7. And just on the Zadorov thing, too, another thing that just, really, really is starting to bug me about this team, when they're getting pushed around, when they're getting beat in these games, when they're already down, 4-2, 5-2, 6-2, whatever it is, that's when they want to fight.
You know, as Marchand did that a couple of nights ago?
That's when Zadorov wants to get another penalty. Oh, we're down 6-2. It's like they wait until they're dead in the water already, and then they show some life. They had no life tonight.
No, that's not called urgency, by the way. That's called
No, they're throwing a temper tantrum.
Yeah, Skaz, we're the flagship of the Boston Bruins. We're here to react. We're here to give you content on the Bruins. What do we have tonight? You mentioned Zadorov.
Bad.
Right? Like, I don't want to give them a pass for their current situation on defense. I don't want to give them a pass. They've been playing without Lindholm for a while now. They've actually shown better signs without McAvoy at times.
Joe, if this was Winnipeg, if this was the Stars, if this was, a team that's even halfway decent, okay, maybe I can hear that conversation from Bruins fans. But this is the worst team in the league, arguably, and one of the worst home teams in the league. And the Bruins just absolutely laid an egg in a game where, and two, if you want to get really frustrated as a Bruins fan, Tampa Bay lost, Montreal lost, and the Rangers lost.
They still hold a wild card spot.
And the Bruins couldn't pick up anything on them because you lose to Buffalo in a non-competitive game.
So I don't think ownership's involved. Neely's talked about 2 different paths. Like, do you think they're just waiting for McAvoy and Lindholm to come back and see what it looks like?
Well, isn't that classic Bruins? Oh, our trade deadline acquisition is someone that was just waiting around, someone that was injured. He's coming back.
I rooted for a youth movement. I thought Patra looked out of place tonight, and you mentioned it, against Buffalo. Winnipeg's on deck. Oh, but Brad Marchand scored a power play goal. It's bad, man. I don't even know what to do. Should I just read the chat about the Bruins? Because I don't know where else to go. Steve says Winnipeg is going to destroy them. Hampus Lindholm should stay injured. Why come back to this? Some people said they saw the first period and then didn't realize the score was 7-2. The Bruins are slow. They were brutal tonight. Exactly, Skaz. They can only give up 2 hat tricks to 2 different players. I would love to give you an analysis and talk about the Bruins. I used to love when people called with their just passion. I think they've taken the passion away from the Bruins fans. These are the same Bruins fans that get their hopes up time after time after time. Thank you, Jeremy Conley. And I feel bad for Jeremy. Jeremy gets to go home right now. Good for you, Jeremy, because he had to work that thing tonight. Bruins fans, I feel bad for you. I feel bad for you. They tease you all the time. They'll be the best regular season team and then get bounced in the first round. They'll show a fight and an effort against the team that wins the Stanley Cup. They go out and get the 2 best free agents available, and they're worse. They fired their coach for a spark. He gets a job somewhere else. They're just this good enough to be in the playoffs, not good enough to be out of the playoffs. Not bad enough, excuse me. At least we have the bean pod, someone said. Oh, and the Four Nations, Four Nations hockey games coming in here. If Jacobs get paid for that, right?
Probably the best hockey played in Boston in the month of February, if I had to guess.
Well, yeah, between the bean pot and the four, what do they call it again?
The Four Nations.
Okay, I'll just call it Four Nations. Oh, McAvoy is going to play in that, right? He's going to play in that?
I believe so.
But not tonight against Buffalo. Am I being too hard on him right now?
No, Joe. I don't think you can be too hard on a team that looked like that against the Buffalo Sabres.
No, really. If I say that McAvoy is going to play in the Four Nations but can't play against Buffalo, is that my bad human for that?
What happened to Carlo? That's what I want to know. Case of the sniffles or something?
Sniffies. Sniffies. I thought hockey players were tough. All right. I don't know what's going on. I won't do that. I'm not going to do that. I don't know what's wrong with him. I don't want to hear tomorrow something happened, and then I'm the jerk who made fun of him for the sniffy. What do they do here? What do you do?
Sell.
We'll get to the headlines. We'll get everyone caught up. If you want to call in about this, 617-779-0985. I don't have the answers. I could read Ty Anderson. I could read Matt Doloff. I already read Steve Conroy today. I went to Nesson's site just to get a blip. They mentioned that Lowry and Marchand scored goals. They didn't even mention Swayman's name. By the way, is he off the hook on this one because the defense is so bad? I don't even know. We'll hit the headline here. We'll try to react to this, but I get the sniffy sometimes. I don't call out. Get to the headlines here. I'm Joe Murray here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
From the Town Fair Tire Studios, this is Boston's home for sports.
Zaka cross, they scored. Porzingis. Point a shot, rebound, score.
WBZFM and HD Boston 98.5 The Sports Hub. Wesley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines.
Bruins losers tonight to Buffalo 7-2. 2 different players had hat tricks tonight for Buffalo. The Bruins got goals from Mason Lowry and Brad Marchand. They're back in action on Thursday night when they take on one of the best teams in hockey, the Winnipeg Jets. Patriots making some moves today. Well, they're not going to bring back Brian Belichick or longtime assistant Mike Pellegrino, but you know what? Let's send Drake May to the Pro Bowl. Why not? He's an alternate. The Cowboys have hired Matt Eberflus as their defensive coordinator. Celtics, they take on Chicago tomorrow night. Sam Hauser, Al Horford, Jason Tatum, all listed as questionable. Headlines, they are brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss, a no-risk, all-rewards path to real weight loss. If you're not happy with your results in the first week, get 100% off your money back. Awaken180weightloss.com. I'm Joe Murray. Your next update is in 30 minutes.
New England plays here.
Ball down the right side. There's a separation. Touchdown pass. Yes. Perfect dive from Drake May.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
12.1 to go before a quiet flight home. Face-off win at center ice here by the Sabres. And they'll just eat the puck here and let the clock mercifully run out. A 7-2 win for Buffalo here on their home ice. As the Bruins now just one win in their last 10 road games.
By Buffalo. Buffalo is 19-26-5 on the year. Buffalo had an offensive outpouring in this one. This was they opened up a 4-game homestand. The loss to the Sabres essentially cost the Bruins third place in the Atlantic Division. Okay, the last time two Sabres scored a hat trick in the same game was in 2008. Derek Roy and Drew Stafford did it. It was a 10-1 win over the Atlanta Thrashers. The expansion Atlanta Thrashers. The last time Buffalo had two players that scored a hat trick was the damn Thrashers. You know who the play-by-play announcer of the Thrashers was, Skez? Yeah, shot in the beer, shot in the beer.
Would that be one Scotty Farrell?
Shot in the beer. Can you believe that?
Joe, I'd have more fun doing Farrell impressions all night than I would talking about this Bruins team.
Farrell on the bench. I could just do the next hour if you want in Farrell voice.
Pour me a cold one.
The Bruins. Brad Marchand's not a good captain. I don't know. I bet them tonight. Hit the over, though.
Yeah, good night for overbetters.
Good night for overbetters. Oh, my God. Scott Farrell was the play-by-play announcer of the Atlanta Thrashers. The last time Buffalo had two players that scored a hat trick in a game. But, Jeremy Swayman got paid, so he was all business, right? It's business. I'm not going to let him off the hook tonight. I'm not. No. Nope. If he's supposed to be the best goalie in hockey and make all that money, doesn't matter if the defense isn't available in front of you. Don't give up hat tricks to two different people. Nope. Nope. Corey on Twitter, you have to sell and rebuild. Nobody is untouchable on this team. It's an absolute brutal. Love the Bruins, but I don't recognize this team. It's like watching my Revolution on skates. Oh! 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 I didn't even go that deep. I went Atlanta Thrashers, You want to talk about that was bad? That was a good one. Ryan in our chat goes, Madone.
Joe, is there a chance the Bruins have 3 coaches this season?
This isn't Joe Sacco's fault, man.
No, it's not his fault, but Bruins love a fall guy.
He ain't getting a job again, though. All right, let's just have fun with this. We talked about this off the air. I'm willing to entertain the idea because I don't know what to do. Like, sell, right? Okay, so they sell. Do you want Don Sweeney being the guys who makes the trades? Do you want Cam Neal? Do you want that? And, I'll give Maz credit for this because he mentioned before that they took the rights away from Chiarelli before they fired him about trading any number 1 picks. If you remember that year, they traded a 2nd-round pick for right-handed wing.
Is that the Rick Nash year?
Not that year.
Not Backus.
Another right-handed wing that they had.
Ginlow. They brought in a Yager.
Keep going. Is one of those Stafford? Drew Stafford? Is that it? Drew Stafford? I'm trying to remember who it was.
Bolesky. They brought in.
Keep going.
They had a kid Connolly that had a
he was there
hand.
for a little bit. Yep, I remember him for a bit. Yep. Somebody will mention it in chat. But do they put restrictions on it like you don't trade a 1st or a 2nd-round pick? Like here's the deal, Skaz. I would seriously consider trying to trade Zadorov.
Nick Ritchie?
Nope. Keep going. Keep going. That was a second round pick. That was horrific. I think it was
Marcus Johansson?
Nope. Keep going. No, it was what was Chiarelli's last year? Was it 13? I can't remember.
Drew Stafford was 2017.
Drew Stafford. It had to
That
be.
was a 6th round pick.
Okay.
Lee Stempniak was for a second round
Lee
pick.
Stempniak. He still got. Wasn't he with the tryouts this year? What was Chiarelli's last year? Why I don't know why I'm blanking on this right now. But at that deadline, it might have been Conley. But at that deadline, they put restrictions on what Chiarelli could do and what he couldn't.
2015 was his last year.
Okay, so who would they have at the deadline?
They traded. Let's see. They traded for Brett Conley, 2 second-round picks for Brett Conley, March 2nd, 2015.
Brett Conley. You did say that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
He had like a metal hand or something like that.
They're all like the same guy. Do you get it?
Not good.
2 second-round picks for that. 2. So they were told not to trade first-round picks, but they traded 2. That's where I'm going with this. I cannot see Sweeney getting past this year. They have 0 depth. People in our chat are like, Adam Oates, Joe Juno. Nope, not those guys. Not Happy Gilmore either. No, it was Brett Conley. 2 second-round picks back then. 2. Because Chiarelli would just unload. They're in a similar situation now. Like, does Neely take over? Is Neely even back? So let's entertain it, Skaz. I said who could be the next GM? Who could be the next coach? The coach that I at least mentioned was Chris Kelly because he's on the staff, but I would prefer them to just blow the thing up. What I mean by blow it up is the whole coaching staff. So Chris Kelly wouldn't be a fit. But you mentioned a former Boston Bruin who is having success elsewhere. And if you wanted to bring somebody in that could knows a little bit of something, left here, came back, was here for a bit. He's won 2 Stanley Cups. You mentioned the name Sean Thornton.
Yeah, I mean, it was mostly in jest, Joe. But
I like it. I have nothing else tonight. What else do you do? We're now clamoring for new coaches and GMs because it's not working anymore. The Bruins used to get credit for losing Chara, Bergeron, Krejci, Tuukka Rask, Krug, whoever. They lost them all. But they were still consistent, right? They were still good. Sweeney was getting credit for continuing to put out playoff teams and competitive teams, although losing all those players. But in the offseason, you lose Jake DeBrusk. And all of a sudden, and you add Lindholm and Zadorov, and it's worse? It doesn't make sense. And at this point, like, you already fired coaches who were successful elsewhere. How's Montgomery doing now that he's in Dallas? That's actually, let's do that. Let's do a little check-in on Monty. How's Monty doing? I think Vegas is doing all right? Pull them up in a second here. They need an overhaul. They need a hockey overlord.
Should they bring like Keith Gretzky back? We want to bring him back?
They need a hockey overlord, dude. I don't know the name. I don't know who it is. But right now, all I have is Sean Thornton, Chris Kelly. That's all I have.
I'd toss Keith Gretzky in there as well.
Throw him in there. Fine. Sure. Throw him in. I'll take suggestions. Because right now, it ain't right. How is Monty doing? Did you look that up?
4-6 in his last 10, lost 3 in a row.
It's not good.
Not great.
How about our buddy Butch?
The Golden Knights are 3-6-1 in their last 10, but have won 1 in a row.
What are the Bruins in their last 10?
But the Golden Knights record is also 31-15.
That's
so
pretty good.
I would say that's pretty good.
Got some shiny hardware.
The Blues are 23-24. The Bruins are 25-21. The Bruins are mediocre.
Gerard Gallant, someone mentions, and we've had that before. Someone's mentioned that, right? Wasn't he? Someone said, "Bring back Claude." Yes, this is where we're at with the Bruins, everybody. Let's talk to Joe. He's in the car. Hey, Joe. Hey, Joe.
What's up, Joe? How we doing?
I'm confused. I don't know what to do.
I'm with you. But listen, before I even get into my point, we do, for the love of God, do not count Chris Kelly as a potential next head coach. You got to go externally. My number one guy personally is Quenneville, right? I think he is like kind of a hot name. But I was going to say tonight, this loss, it was coming from a mile away. You heard Carlo is out, like Zadorov is the lone defenseman. It was set up. I think it was a huge look-ahead game to Thursday, and I guarantee it, Lindholm and McAvoy will be back Thursday night, and they will win a tight one versus Winnipeg. And if they don't, I'll call back and I'll pay my debt. But I think it was a serious look-ahead game, and this was a loss before they even got on the ice.
Listen, the old teams, when they were winning, they would have the old scheduled loss. This team's not deserving of the look-ahead.
But I mean, like look at Saturday.
Wait.
Like, they
how is Buffalo the look-ahead game? Buffalo's the get-right game.
No, we're the get-right team a little bit this season.
Buffalo should be the get-right game, the get-right team.
I mean, I really
You got nothing either. You got nothing either.
Joe, is that guy a Celtics fan? Because, Celtics green teamers get said there's, no positives after losses. Or that sounded like a green teamer call right there, didn't it?
I mean, the Celtics, again, granted, the Celtics at least.
Celtics won a title last year, and their fans are more upset after, a loss to the Raptors.
Or the Raptors, yeah, exactly.
That's what the Bruins did tonight.
This is what I mean.
You're not good enough to have look-ahead spots.
Since we have joined the night show, when the Bruins lose, you guys call in and you're pissed. And it's great. When the Celtics win, nobody calls. When the Celtics lose, no one's concerned. So now it's like, scheduled loss. It's just Buffalo. Well, I don't know. What about the Ottawa game and the Colorado game? Or San Jose last week? Like, those were building block games. What was this? It's horrible. Horrible. Justin's in Lynn. Hey, Justin.
Hey, Joe, let me tell you something, buddy. I know you're frustrated, but there's no sugarcoating this loss tonight. This whole roster needs to be torn down, rebuilt. The only ones that you can save is Pasternak and Swain, and that's it.
Hey, Justin, I want you to do some research for me. I want you to come up with some candidates next time you call for the Bruins' next new head coach.
Yes.
All right, buddy.
I will do that for you, Joe.
You work on that and call me back.
Yes, I will.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. I need names. I need names. We got a list. Remember we had the old list back there? The old interns used to do the old list. Let's get the list going again. We need a list.
What was that, Joe's suspect list?
Yeah, the suspect list.
Who was suspect?
Yeah.
It was Bill O'Brien, I believe, was behind that creation.
He was right on there. The Bruins are not suspect. They're beyond repairable. This is irreparable. Now, you know what you're going to say is, remember the St. Louis Blues in 2018? Oh, the Bruins always used to start so great. Maybe this is them not being great, and then I need names. All right, let's take a break because I went late. I see Pat on the line. I see Eric. Some guy just emailed me saying, drown your sorrows. So I'll open that up. We got names in the chat. I see Ryan at Brokerage, babe. What's up? Carrie Ann in Seattle's not happy. Brian Griffin's in there. Joe, just talk about CM Punk. Well, just while we're on that, If you go to the 98.5 The Sports Hub or YouTube or even my Twitter, we did a Royal Rumble podcast tonight. Myself, Jay Stu, did that that's what we did during the game tonight because they gave up 2 hat tricks, which haven't been done from Buffalo since the Atlanta Thrashers. I'm going to text Fred that. He was in Atlanta then.
Might have been at the game.
He might recall. Maybe he'll be like, I got where did he work? Oh, why can't I remember the sub shop that he worked at? Oh, why can't I remember the name we used to talk about all Fred's jobs. Why can't I remember it? It was a sub shop that Fred worked at. Come on, Chad. Blimpies. There we go. Thank you.
Come on, I'm a P1.
Oh, there you go. He got a blimp. They gave up 2 hat tricks, and he got a Blimpie sub. We got to go to break. I'm Joe Murray here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the
Nothing after the Bruins lost tonight, 7-2. I told you last week I put on Shawshank Redemption. It was the scene where Brooks said Brooks was here, and I basically wanted to make a meme that said the Bruins were here. Because that's how I feel about the team. I feel that they just don't like it in the real world. They live in the past. They don't know how to transition. And, last year's team, their identity was their goaltending. It was. Linus Ullmark, Jeremy Swayman, every other night. Every other. It worked, right? It worked. It worked almost until it didn't. But it was their identity. This team has zero identity. They've had zero identity. They've had zero leadership. They really hardly have any young talent coming up. They don't have a first line outside of Pasternak. They never replaced Jake DeBrusk. Elias Lindholm has been a big bust. And Zadorov, I think, is even worse. And quite frankly, if a team wanted to just pick him up and pick up his money, which won't happen, you should do it. And it sucks because in order to get rid of a guy like him or Lindholm, you'd have to give up a first-round pick or a high second-round pick. And that sucks. They can't afford to do that, so they're stuck with these guys. They're literally stuck with them. And there's just some staggering numbers coming out. I saw this from Ty Anderson tonight. I mentioned the identity last year because this is not last year's team. Tonight marked the sixth time this season that a Bruins goaltender allowed at least 6 goals in a game. The last time that happened, Tim Thomas Hannu Toivonen. That happened 5 times in 06-07. It's most for a team since the 96-97 era with Bill Ranford and Rob Tallis and Jim Carey? Holy smokes! That was my childhood. I haven't heard the name Rob Tallis in years. Wow. Korpisalo Swayman. That combo. Vomit! One more for you here. It's the 13th time in 52 games this year the Bruins have allowed 5 or more goals. Joe Math. You ready for this one? Let's see. We got 13, right? 13, 52. Skaz, Joe Math, that's 25% of the time. 25% of the time the Bruins give up 5 or more goals in a game. I'm going to say that one more time. Joe Math, everybody. They've played 52 games. And 13 of them, they've given up 5 or more. 25% of the Bruins games this year. Their identity's gone. Out. Re-signing Jeremy Swayman and trading Linus Ullmark. The whole contract dispute. Not extending Montgomery because he probably didn't want to be here. And then guys started playing for themselves. It was about their own contracts. And it was business decisions. If we could do a video, Skaz, that would be the headline. Business decisions. Jeremy Swayman this year made a business decision. He wasn't ready to go to start the year because of a business decision. When he finally got going, they weren't good enough. And now without McAvoy and Lindholm, who's been out for so long, he can't make up for it. He's not good enough. The team's not good enough. They have zero identity. 25% of the time this season, they give up 5 goals in a game? I don't know what to say about that. That's like, in Forrest Gump, when something bad happened to him, he goes, and that's all I got to say about that. That could be a segment. That's all I got to say about that. Your thoughts, 617-779-0985. Where do we start? Eric's in Texas. Hey, Eric.
Hey, Joe. Thanks for taking the call. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
It used to be way out here in West Texas, listening to the Bruins was like a cathartic, energy, enthusiastic night for me, and now it's just killing me. It's really horrible. Sweeney absolutely has to go. He should go now, and Cam's got to roll up his sleeves and actually do some work. I would go with Jay Leach as a name out with the Kraken. He used to coach for Providence, so he's got familiarity, but he's been gone for 4 or 5 years. So there's at least he's gotten a different experience than just being with the Bruins. And we've got to dump what we can get something for. The hard one is I would trade McAvoy. He has been on a downturn for the last 2 years. Get something for him now while people might still take a chance on him and give us something back. I'd trade Carlo, I'd trade Coyle, and I would trade Frederick. We've got to replenish the pipeline. Sweeney can't do it because he can't draft for crap. So that's why he has to go. But this team is absolutely horrible. And I call Swayman Sway less. He was talking about how he was keeping receipts. Well, guess what? The fans are keeping receipts too. And he has shown up and been crap all season. All right. And, a game like this, like one of your other callers said, we are now the get-right team for the other teams. And a game like this, to give up 2 hat tricks to one of the worst teams in the NHL, you absolutely almost have to try to do that. And so Swayless back there, he better get it together. We're stuck with his contract, just like we're stuck with Lindholm's contract and just like we're stuck with Zadorov's contract. But he better get it together because he's the number 1 goalie. He wants to be paid number 3 or 4 AAV, and he is not producing. This is a game where he has to show up and steal it for us by saying, I'm not letting anything through, or it's going to be a 1 or 2 goal game, and our forwards are going to score. But, again, I love listening to you. I listen to you while I work out before I go home. Then I tune into the Bruins, and then my life sucks. So I'll hang up and listen. Swayless blows, but we're stuck with him. And Sweeney has to go, and Neely's got to roll up his sleeves and start doing work.
Thanks, Eric. I like that. We needed that tonight.
Yeah, great call from Eric. Welcome to call anytime. The only thing I have to correct there is he wants Jay Leach to leave the Kraken and come back to Boston. Jay Leach is an assistant coach on the Bruins right now. He's one of Sacco's assistants.
He was the one I thought was going to get the job.
Yes. So he is no longer with the Kraken.
He's here.
He's here, and they still suck.
They bypassed him for Sacco.
Yes.
I say Chris Kelly because it's all I have. I got nothing else. But in a perfect world, I'd blow it up. Sweeney, coach, staff. Neely, I don't know what they do with him. It seems like maybe they move on from him, but I feel like it's like that John Elway thing, Like he's so good, so he's there all the time, and he's had success. Like ownership might like him. Hey, Cam, you put us in this situation, figure it out. That kind of thing. I think Sweeney's done. And his drafting alone, dude, he shouldn't be here anymore. This is why they're here, right? This is why they're at the cap. This is why they have to pay guys so much money because they literally weren't able to draft. And the guys that they did draft, do I have to? Hey, by the way, you remember that year we just talked about, Skaz, where you looked up that Chiarelli was fired? Do you know how many first-round picks the Bruins had that year in Don Sweeney's first year? You remember this, right? I mean, right? Remember they had 3 first-round picks? How'd those work out? Where are those guys now? Because they're not here. And I know it's easy to pick on something that happened 10 years ago, but it does have a trickle-down effect, right? It does. I'm still bringing up stuff from 10 years ago of how the Bruins are here. Kevin's in the car. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man.
I got a name for you. David Carl. He's the head coach for Denver, and 2 national championships in the past 3 years. Won the gold medal at the World Juniors this year. Might be nice to get some new blood in the coaching carousel in the NHL.
I'm not opposed to it. Is that the way that this team needs to build? Is get younger?
I mean, we just fired a guy who was previously the head coach of Denver, who won a national championship, right?
I never thought Montgomery was a bad fit, though.
No,
he had his own personal issues, and he had no problem chirping at Marchand and Swayman, right?
Also, David Carl is probably like the guy right now in the ranks. Just won a gold medal in Ottawa for Team USA behind their bench. The Bruins aren't paying that guy. They're not going to pony up the money for that guy. He's not leaving that spot unless it's the right money, the right opportunity, and the Bruins aren't going to pay him. So, nice, but I don't think that's happening.
Do you think they'd look at Joe Quenneville?
Out on Joel Quenneville. Out on anybody attached to that Blackhawks scandal.
Yeah.
They knew what was going on. Out on anybody involved with that whatsoever. Out on Joel Quenneville.
I feel like I gotta strum up some Bruins odds. Okay, this just coming in. Thank you. I think this is Neil who sent this to me. The Bruins have allowed 5 or more goals. Ready for this? In 10 of 26 road games this year. So they've allowed 5 or more goals. Joe Math on that one, 38.5. So, the road woes are real. Like, they are almost 40% of the time they give up 5 goals on the road. And it's guys, in 56 games this year, 25% of the time they've given up 5 goals. They've lost their identity. I'm laughing because you had an idea. Listen, the Allmark trade netted them a first-round pick and saved them, what, $1 million because of a time? Was it worth it? I only mention it as like the altering move of your identity. Was it worth it? I'm not saying Allmark the savior in net or any of that, so I'm not doing that. But just the simple move of moving on from Allmark, who I think said he still wanted to stay here. Remember, he got criticized for that? He was criticized for saying he still wanted to stay in Boston. He had 1 year remaining. If he stuck around, I believe they would have had to pay an option or a roster bonus. So they traded him. They got a first-round pick. They got Korpisalo. They had Ottawa eat $1 million, but it was $3 million against your cap. Well, everyone thought that Bussy was supposed to be the next guy. Well, DiPietro just made the All-Star team in the minors. So I feel like they might have misjudged that whole trade. Can you believe that? 25% of the time they give up 5 goals, and when they go on the road, essentially 40% they give up 5 goals. Wow. I might have to write an article about this. This is one that I might have to like put on a spreadsheet and really just break this one down. I can't believe that. Tony is in Plymouth. Hey, Tony.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man.
Good. I mean, I think the thing is, to be honest, it's time for Cam Neely to go. It's a proven fact that having heroes from your own franchise in the front office doesn't end well, because it's always hard to come for the head of the guy who we all have fond memories of.
Well, before you get into, I get what you mean. There's a lot of examples of that, right? Especially in hockey. There's a lot, and they bring guys back at times. So I'll agree with that, and I'll let you go with your take on that one. But let me just follow up with this. There's an absentee owner here, right? Jeremy Jacobs. Charlie's kind of like the face now. Well, they need a relationship to management, right? So why would they, like, Sweeney's the guy to move. I'm not saying that that Cam has his stripes for everything that you're saying. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, who else could the ownership have a relationship with to get their message out to management?
I mean, I think the thing there is do you need a front man, and does that smiling face have to be the hero? There are plenty of talented people out there who maybe they don't have a connection as a player to the franchise.
No, I get you. I can't remember ownership. I'm trying to think about it. Ownership worked with Neely, and it was always Harry Sinden before that, right?
Yeah, no, definitely.
I just don't know who
the
they.
relationship goes back.
Yeah.
The current
I guess I know you're mentioning that former player, and I get it. But is that on ownership? Like sticking with it?
But there's a certain point where we're on, I think, the third head coach in the Neely administration.
Claude, yep.
Yeah, we're on the third head coach.
Probably fourth head coach.
Well, okay, we're on the fourth head coach, and we haven't seen it hasn't got fixed.
Yeah, and they're going to be going on a fifth.
Right. This is maybe you got to cut a little higher.
Yeah. Let's take a break. But just to think about that for a second here. I'm not going to blame. I'd love to blame Bruins ownership. Ooh, it's like ooh. I get like Montgomery Burns, like a Smithers, like Jacobs. Cam Neely's the Smithers to Burns. You know what I'm saying? It's like do they have one of those guys in there that they can talk to? Let's take a quick break. I'm Joe Murray here on the Sports Hub. Bees got wrecked tonight. You wrecked me, baby. They got wrecked. Wrecked. 7 goals. 7 goals. More Bruins goal stuff coming in. This from frequent emailer, I believe it's Neil. The Bruins have allowed 165 goals in 52 games. The franchise record for most goals allowed in the season is 306 back in 1961-62. They allowed 5 or more goals in 34 of 70 games. Joe Math, 48.6. So 35 and 35-70, right? The 1961-62 team gave up 5 or more goals in 34 of 70 games. So there's been 52 games. So there's 30 more games to go, right? So let's just do one. Here we go, more Joe Math. So 165 by 30 is 5 goals a game. And there's 30 games left. Times 30? Times 30? This is 160. So 160 times 2 would be 330 goals, which would be more. They're on pace to. Now they'll play more games, but wow, they're on pace to break that. They're on pace to break that. This could be the worst franchise season for giving up goals in Bruins history. The year that they signed Jeremy Swayman to a big deal and signed the best defensive free agent with Charlie McAvoy at $9 million a year. Guys, remember when I tried to do the Bruins have the goalie, defense, and all the money that's tied into it, and we kind of looked at some other teams? I might have to do that tomorrow again. I might have to look that up. How much money is tied into the goaltending? 10, right? 10 million, essentially? 10? Plus McAvoy's 9, all the they I think they have like $40 million tied into just goaltending and defense, and they give up this many goals. Sweeney's got to go. He's got to go. That's it. But I brought this up because we got to go here. And by the way, this hour of the Sports Up has been brought to you by Valvoline and Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandoilChange.com. You can save 15% off your next drive-through oil change. And Valvoline and Oil Change now open in Franklin, Billerica, and Peabody. Like, who's the tie to ownership? The only thing they have is Neely. Like, could ownership go in a different direction? Could they fire Sweeney but keep Neely? And if they did move on from Neely, who would be the lackey, right? The Smithers to Mr. Burns. Who would it be? Because it's Sam Kennedy, right, for the Red Sox, to the ownership. And I guess I don't even know the Patriots one. And the Celtics, I guess it's Brad Stevens, right? The pace is 260. Joe Math always comes into play. Man, I got to start thinking about that. Who's the next lackey? I think Neely's back. I think Sweeney's out. That's where I stand. All right, we got to get out of here tonight.